I grew up in somewhat of a cult, and I know that's I don't even like saying that because I know that's only partially true because cult is such a blanket statement, right? It's such a blanket term for a lot of things. Like a lot of religions could be considered cults. But the reason why I'm saying this is because the religion that I grew up in, and when I say I, it was me and my brother and my siblings, but mostly me and my younger brother, because my mom became associated with this religion when, like, just right before we were born. So my older siblings who were 10 years older, 10 and 12 years older, they didn't have quite the same childhood, a little bit of the same later on, but we experienced it fully. Now, luckily, my dad wasn't a part of this religion, but they still stayed together, and he still kind of let her take us to church and basically any sort of religious function that my mom wanted to go to. Now, what religion am I talking about? I haven't mentioned that yet. The religion is called Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, if you're aware of the religion Jehovah's Witnesses, it's interesting. It's a Christian religion, but there is a lot of aspects as well because they focus on both. I guess I guess the Old Testament and the New Testament is the best way to describe that. Like the Old Bible and the New Bible, they focus heavily on both. While it seems like it's a Christian religion, I wouldn't say it's fully all Christian. Now, what has it taught me to grow up in a cult? I'm going to get to that after I explain my experience with this religion. Now, I don't want to say all negative things because I understand why people find religions like this, and I understand why my mom might have been swayed when they came knocking on her door, which is a practice Jehovah's Witnesses do when they knock on the door. It's they have the Watchtowers and the Awake magazines, and they hand it off to you, and they try to get a Bible study with you, and then eventually start bringing you to the church, and then next thing you know, you're kind of bought in, and then this is what you believe, right? You might even not necessarily believe it. You might just go there for a community because at the end of the day, human beings, we're social creatures, and we want to feel a part of something. And so that's what I mean. I have empathy for people in regards to that. Now, being a Jehovah's Witness, it's being raised that way. It's probably one of the worst religions ever to be a part of as a kid if you have parents who are Jehovah's Witness, because you don't get to experience a lot of what they call worldly things. That's a term they use all the time when it's like your friends. It's like how Jews would call non-Jews Gentiles. In the Jehovah's Witness religion, they call everything else worldly individual. It's like it's worldly things, worldly desires. Everything else that's not just immediately surrounding the religion is considered worldly. And that would also encompass, sadly, a lot of holidays. So a lot of holidays you missed out on as a kid. I missed out on Christmases. I missed out on my birthday because birthdays are considered evil. According to the Bible, they're considered bad, like a blasphemy. So birthdays I missed out on. I missed out on Easters. I missed out on Christmas. I missed out on Halloween because that was like a pagan holiday. I think New Year's Eve was the only one that, like, they never really specifically said you can't celebrate New Year's Eve, which is odd. So like me and my dad and my brother would have this tradition where we'd watch movies and stay up until like midnight, which is a really nice tradition for New Year's Eve because everyone had everyone had work off the next day. So even that would be my dad as well. So that was nice. I do remember that. That was probably the best part of my childhood was New Year's Eve. It was like it was a treat to stay up that late watching movies that we'd rent at Blockbuster, and we'd have a tradition. We have a pizza, rent some movies, and we'd basically just see if we can make it to midnight. It's like you're getting really tired watching those movies and stuff. And I really enjoyed that. But that being said, I still missed out on so much experiences with Christmas. Christmas was the one that really hurt the most. Because now growing up and I have a 1-year-old, like I'm already thinking about like, oh, it's going to be so amazing to celebrate Christmases later on. Like really as a family, this is amazing. Even now we do celebrate Christmas as a family. We just don't involve my mom, which is sad, but it's one of those things where she kind of picked her community, and it doesn't mean she's not a part of our family. We're still all a part of a family. It's just that's just what she believes, and we kind of let her believe that. And now that we're older, she kind of let us be. And I think she understood that as you get older, at least, like, you can't push things that much on people anymore. And she does still try to talk about the church and, biblical scriptures and everything like that. And I'm pretty aware of, I basically was going to church till I was like 13, 14 consistently 2 times a week. So like I'm pretty well versed in biblical scripture and stuff, but it was really difficult growing up as in a Jehovah's Witness family, because so there's so many little things that you don't realize. It's like your friends would invite you over for one of their birthdays and you'd have to come up with an excuse because you thought an excuse is better than telling them the actual truth, which would like send you into a panic mode. That's how I got anxiety at such a young age. There would also be other things that they would push on the kids at a young age, this religion where you couldn't, so classrooms, they play the national anthem, and because they don't believe in like nation sovereignty and stuff like that, Jehovah's Witnesses, they don't believe in honoring nations and stuff, you'd have to stand out. You'd have to literally leave the classroom and stand outside for the national anthem, then come back in. And it was very awkward because like I didn't really know why I was doing it, but like you're told to do that. So I would just do that. People would always ask me later, like, why are you doing that? I'm like, oh, whatever. I just didn't really know how to tell them the truth, like why I was doing that. Because at the time I kind of believed that it was the right thing to do, right? You're a kid, like you want to please your parents, but you also don't want to get in trouble either. So it's a bit of that. But what it's taught me as I got older, being raised in a cult, is that religion is something you can't push on people. You have to let them come to their own beliefs. And whether that's going to one religion or the other, or maybe that just makes them become spiritual or an atheist, that's their path. That's what they have to experience themselves through their life experience. Because ultimately, if there is a God and they're going to be brought to God, it can't be by force anyways. That's something I truly believe. I feel like that's a non-negotiable. So if I was someone going to the church, and me and Veronica, we're not right now, we did look for churches just for a sense of community. Again, I think that's one of the reasons why people go to churches. And some people who want more than just community, they want to really believe something, they go towards more of the culty churches. So for me, I would never push it on my son. I would never push any sort of religion or any belief. I'd want them to come to their own terms. They can understand what I'd believe or anything like that, and that would be completely fine, but I would never push it on anyone. And that's ultimately the thing I learned about growing up in a cult, is that you got to let people do their own thing. You got to let them believe what they believe and let them come to their own beliefs. Life is, full of memories and things to learn and knowledge that you have to let them come to their own terms. And I think that's the greatest lesson I've ever been able to come away with while growing up in a cult. And if you also grew up as a Jehovah's Witness, or you know people who have grown up as a Jehovah's Witness, you might know a lot of the things that I've spoke about in this video, but I'd like your thoughts about it though, nonetheless, down below in the comment section, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.